Hey everybody, and welcome back to Carnabrin Plays Final Fantasy VII, the best game of all time. I'm Carnabrin, and I'm continuing my escape here from the sewer after being tossed in by Don Cornero. I just received the steel materia, which I'm immediately going to equip on Tifa, so she can jack some very useful and wonderful items from the enemies we encounter here. Let's try and jump down to escape this terrible sewer. Whoop. So a lot has happened since the last video and this video. It's actually a few months later. I had kind of lost my drive and kind of given up on doing this little playthrough just because the game seems so close and for a bunch of different reasons. But now the game has actually been delayed. It was going to come out March of 2020. Now it's coming out in April 2020, which gives me another month to run through this game as quickly and completely as I can, and kind of give you guys a look at this fabulous game. So I'm going through with it. I'm pushing myself, and I'm gonna try to get through it, and you know, just give you guys a taste of this wonderful game before the remake comes out, which I'm super nervous about being. Like, I'm both excited and terrified, like, because they could make a wonderful like addition to this fantastic game. They can complete it. Like, they can make the graphics like match up to the quality of the storytelling and the characters and all this other stuff. Or they could completely flub it and just make a pile of trash, which is what I'm really afraid of them doing. So anyway, let's get back. Let's not worry about that and worry about and focus on the great game that is right here. So right now we're trying to make our way out of the sewers that Don Cornero tossed us into. We're fighting these kind of turtle enemies, which are confirmed to be in the remake, along with a lot of the other enemy types. There's really not much noteworthy that I can remember about these enemies. I'll try stealing from them to see if they drop anything, or see if they have anything worth taking. Oh, the crab has a tranquilizer. That's interesting. And now he is frozen. You toss him into one of those Japanese frozen crab vending machines where you can pick your own frozen crab. Take him home with you. Let's see if the turtles have anything of note. He exploded before I could get anything. Now I wonder if the turtle enemies being fought in the sewer is an homage to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because there are a lot of homages in this game, and I'm just curious if that's like a little nod at that. Now, of course, I want to see the turtles, and I get all crab enemies. Alright, let's steal some tranquilizers. So the steel materia is kind of a mystery, and that's actually one of the things in this game that I'm not fond of. Is it's not very clear how everything works. So I know for a fact that the steel materia, as you level the materia itself up, it will become more accurate, like you'll steal more often. But I don't know if a character's, like, say, hit percentage, or their luck, or their dexterity has an effect on your ability to steal things. Like, I'm not sure, you know. I could look it up, but a lot of the math on that, like even in guides, is a little like, we don't know. We're not sure. We think. This is one thing that bothers me about things not being clear. Also, I want to share another thing with you. See the steel materia here? It increases your dexterity by 2. And you will see that like a lot of magic materia lowers your strength and HP. I wish that some of the yellow command materia, is what it's called, would give you boosts to other stats that you don't normally get boosts to. Like, it would be nice if like later materia that you get in the game, like Death Blow and Double Cut, would increase the character's strength or dexterity as well. There you go. Here. I think these are definitely an homage to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They have like little kind of psi weapons, like Raphael, like longer, like they're longer than Psi's, but it's like a combination of Raphael and Donatello's weapons together. I think that might be a. I think it might be a little nod to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like you see this. All right, back to what I was saying before about command materia. So steel does increase your dexterity, which is why I'm thinking maybe oh, see, the turtles can randomly go into their shell and reduce damage done to them by all the way to 1, which is what that guy just did. Let's steal some from him. Let's see if we got it. I don't think the shells protect against magic. What was I saying? Yeah, so like the steel materia does increase your dexterity, which is why I think that dexterity might have something to do with your rate of stealing. But like there's not a lot of other materia that will do that, and command materia is few and far between because they give you extra commands, which is the whole point of that materia, right? But it would be nice if like there were materia where you can like, all right, this increases your strength if you use it, and maybe it reduces your magic. Maybe it makes you more of a warrior, and kind of reduces your ability to cast good magic. Because you can build characters up to be great mages, but there's not as much going for a character who wants to be like a physical powerhouse, other than just like unequipping your materia and just attacking. You know what I mean? So it would be nice if in the remake that they kind of address that issue. And from what I've seen, a lot more information has been released about the remake at this point. So from what I've seen, they are kind of changing the system to reflect that, or so that you can do that, so that you make your character more of a powerhouse. It looks like they've taken what they've learned from other Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy IX, where you would upgrade your weapons and gain abilities from those upgraded weapons. Oh, the turtles have hypers. So the crabs have tranquilizers and the turtles have hypers. Those both affect your ability to use your limit breaks, actually. Hyper will make you hyper. Oh no, hyper will give you fury. And while you're in the fury state... actually, I'll show you right now. While you're in the fury state, let's give it to Tifa, because she's trying to learn her next limit break. Your attacks will hit less often, you'll be less accurate, but when you get hit, you'll gain more of your limit break, which will allow you to use it more often. And limit breaks very rarely, if ever, miss, so it's kind of a benefit. It's more of a benefit later on in the game when your characters are so accurate they don't really have to worry about having the fury state, and they can just hit things like without a problem. So like towards the end game, you'll just be in fury and just wail on things. Like see, like because of the fury state now, I get my limit break right away. And in order to unlock new levels of limit break, you just have to use the first, or I should say, in order to unlock the second level of having your limit break, you need to use the first level over and over again. So Tifa being in fury will help with that. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. I keep like being on a subject and then having to move on to another subject because of something that happens in the game, which is kind of, it's kind of funny because there's so much. And it's also kind of frustrating because I sound like a lunatic. Also, thing about limit breaks is they get priority as actions to be done. So I selected a move to be done with Cloud, but Tifa went first because her limit break was up. If you use the limit break, that will usually be the next action that comes out. Will be the limit break. Okay, now what I was talking about before is in Final Fantasy IX, you actually let's go on to the next screen and then I'll talk about that on the next screen because there's going to be a little conversation and I don't want to stop midway again like I just did. Alright, so here we come out of the sewer and we find that we're in the train graveyard. Eris, I got you mixed up in all of this. Don't tell me to go home. Let's see, if we can just get past the trains that are lit up, we should be able to get out of here. Alright, so if you remember this is the train graveyard from before. Right next to the train station with the train man! And I'm going to pause right here and be right back. Sorry for that little interruption. Let's continue exploring the train graveyard. Alright, so what I was saying before is I think they're taking things that they've learned from other Final Fantasies and putting it into the remake of Final Fantasy VII. So one aspect of other Final Fantasies is that, like in Final Fantasy IX, for example, and in, I believe in Final Fantasy 11 or 12, what you do is you equip weapons and you get skills from equipping that weapon. It's kind of like the materia system, but instead of being the gem that you slot into the weapon, it's the weapon itself that you learn the skill from. And it seems like the remake is kind of doing that, where you use a certain weapon and it gives you a skill, and you can equip materia to it to kind of increase the power of that skill, or like to alter it to your benefit or to your liking, which I think seems cool. It seems like you'll be getting benefits from using like different materia, and you will be able to build your character more towards your end goal. So like if you want somebody to be more of a physical fighter, they will be more of a physical fighter. If you want them to be more of a caster, you can make them into a caster, you know? So that's kind of cool. I dig that. Also just enjoying this old, running through this graveyard, I'm enjoying the old pre-rendered, not pre-rendered, the old, what are they called? Pre-rendered backgrounds? It is called pre-rendered backgrounds. The backgrounds are built in both, some are drawings and some are rendered in 3D, but then a picture is taken of that 3D rendering, and that's used as the background so that the PlayStation, in this case, doesn't have to render the 3D image in real time, so it uses less processing power, which you can in turn use on, you can use the processing power that you would be using to move the characters around or use it for other things, which is why the backgrounds look so nice and the characters look so kind of goofy. Because this is like the first, this is Square Enix's first 3D game on any ever. So they were kind of like trying new things, and I think that's why people wanted the remake so badly, is because even the step from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VIII was such a big step in terms of just visuals, because they had learned so much and time had just like gone by enough for people to learn how to, like, more what they were doing, and like they made such a big jump. So for fans, they were like disappointed that this game, which they love so much, oh my gosh, I just healed that dragon. This is apparently an ice dragon. I think that's why the remake was so was so desired by fans of this game. It's just like every other aspect of the game is so fantastic that the that people wanted the visuals to just match the rest of the aspects of the game. Like, it was so beloved that we wanted, like, we wanted just what you were looking at to just match everything else. Like, the characters' faces are hard to make out, even in the battle scenes, and all this other stuff. So if you just fix that, then all of a sudden you have, like, the most magnificent, like, you just have, like, a magnificent game on your hands. Get a little turned around here. I shouldn't call this Carn Plays. I should call this Carn Rambles. Incoherently. Because I'm just all over the place. A potion. Now we move to the next screen. Let me talk a little bit about the enemies in the train graveyard, because they are kind of important. As soon as we get into a fight. Anytime. As soon as you want to get into a fight, that's when no one shows up. Alright, there we go. Alright, so these dragons, they're cool because you can steal ethers from them. And ethers at this point in the game are not too common. And actually sell for a lot of money. So if you just keep stealing over and over with Tifa, you can rack up your ethers. You have a steady way to get your MP back, which is at this point in the game kind of like at save points you can do it with tents or it ends, but it's a little hard to just use an ether whenever you want to until you run into these little dragon guys. The ethers are also really expensive, so you can sell them and you have a good steady source of gil, which is great for this point in the game. There you go. Now that we have his ether, there's no use for this dragon to be living, so we just pound him down. Always want to pound your dragon. That's stupid. Let's see. What else is there to talk about? So yeah, I love the little, like I'm sure, I mean, I don't know, but I hope the remake also kind of keeps these little, like, traversal puzzles. Like, there's a bunch of different areas, one later on, or one that's coming up soon, that they just have, like, these little kind of mini puzzles that I just really enjoy. Like, they're very simple, but, like, they get you, like, some nice rewards. And sometimes if you're not paying attention, you can kind of miss them. So I hope the remake kind of keeps that little aspect of the game. Like, the game is mostly linear, but, like, having those little puzzles makes it feel like you're not really going in a straight line. It makes you feel like you're kind of searching through, like, in Midgar, you're searching through all this junk and all this, these ruins and, like, this busted up crap to find, like, the goodies. In other areas, of course, it's not, they're not as junky or as destroyed, but it still feels like it doesn't feel as linear because you're searching around these areas more. I think future Final Fantasies actually kind of lost that aspect of the gameplay. Like in Final Fantasy 13, for example, it feels like you're just running down a hallway, and it doesn't feel like you're exploring much of anything. And the game feels so linear because there's really not many other places you can explore. Like, all right, so now these are ghosts, and these are, or the unique thing about this enemy is after you attack it or interact with it, the ghosts will disappear. Right there I stole a ghost hand. Now that's another item where you can kind of regain MP. So it's a usable item, or an item usable in battle. And if you, right here, See, it drains MP out of the opponent. So what it does is twofold. It will steal MP out of the enemies, and it will give it to you, so your character can use magic again. It's also a one-of-a-kind item. I think these ghosts are the only enemies who have it, I think, in the entire game. And another cool aspect of the ghosts is they're undead. And this goes for any undead enemy. So what you can do is, if you use restorative magic on an undead enemy, it will actually deal damage. So let's try curing the ghosts to see what happens. C362. Now, using the restorative magic actually does the most damage of any attack I can, besides a limit break, of any attack I can do at this point. So that's a good way to deal with undead enemies in this game, is to just use restorative magic. Oh, and Tifa has learned her second limit break, which is the somersault. All thanks to being furied up. Fantastic. And now this is the little traversal puzzle. So now we have to... Alright, so we have to get across here. But if we move this train by itself, there's another train blocking it. Doesn't work, right? So we gotta get into this train. Also very cool that you can just jump in the trains and start moving these old, dilapidated, abandoned trains around. Like, it's the little simple things that are cool. We can even move this back. Get it the fuck out of my way. So that's cool. And that's really simple, and it's also a puzzle that you have to do. But in other areas, there'll be puzzles like this that aren't required. And they just make you feel like you're really interacting with the area in a meaningful way. Once again, I don't want to kill these dragons because they drop precious, delicious ethers, which are wonderful for stealing. Oh, let's take a look at Tifa's limit break. Now, she's unique because, as you can see, she gets to do both of her limit breaks every time she selects her limit. Oh, and I'm... fucking messed that up. Good job, Carn. So the slot machine, again, it gets, as you go on, there are more of those miss opportunities. So if you, like I just did there, if you hit the miss on the slot machine, you'll actually skip that limit break altogether. And the misses are always surrounding the yas, which add the extra boosted damage to the limit. So it's kind of like a high risk, high reward system. But if you're able to hit all the yas in Tifa's limit break, you can do multiple high damaging attacks at once, which makes Tifa kind of the it makes Tifa's limits, or gives Tifa's limits an advantage in the early game, because other characters, for the most part at this point, will just be doing one solid hit of damage, or be doing sort of status effects and these other random things. But Tifa's limit allows her to do a shit ton of damage to a single enemy, and also a lot of damage to a group, although in groups it's a little less effective because you can't control who she attacks. So she'll like randomly attack different enemies in a group, and you can't really control what she's doing. So that kind of disperses the damage, sometimes to not to where you want it when you're using the her limit break in a group. So let's see if I can get this right, and let's see if we can get Tifa's limit break to go off correctly. All right, there it is. Let's try it now. 1, 2. There we go! So now you see she'll do the beat rush, and then she'll do the somersault, and both were for extra damage and was able to take out the little dragon, which is cool. let's cure these ghosts. Let's get them out of our faces. So now, all of my characters have their second limit break. So now, in order to get their third limit break, excuse me. Now, in order to get their third limit break, we have to kill monsters. And I believe it's 40 monsters. Each individual character has to land the killing blow on. So the first, or the second limit break in a limit break slot. I'll explain this better. Let's skip through this battle, and then I'll explain limit breaks and how they work, and how to get new and better limit breaks faster. Okay, so here in the main menu, if you go to Limit, and let's check out Cloud, right? You'll see there's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. The level 2, level 3, level 4 have not been unlocked yet, but I can still use this screen to kind of explain what I'm talking about. So now the second level, or the second limit break in each level, requires using the first limit break in a level a certain amount of times. Now it increases for each, as you go up. I believe the amount of times you have to use the first limit break increases. It's not too egregious, but you do have to use a certain amount of times. I believe it's around 8, and then it goes up 2 every time. But I might be wrong about that. It's been a long time. Then, to get to the next level, you have to defeat a certain number of enemies. I believe it's 40 enemies that the character has to land the killing blow on. It doesn't have to be a physical attack. It can be magic. So if a character uses, like, say, fire magic and kills a bunch of enemies, that will count in gaining the next level of limit break. And then finally, the fourth level is special. The fourth level is a hidden limit break that has to be acquired uniquely for each character, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the game when that actually becomes available. But level 4 is a super secret limit break, and I'm hoping now. And level 4 only has one level of limit break. There's only one limit break that fills the level 4 slot. It's not 2 like every other one. Not 2 like this. I'm hoping that in the remake, maybe they'll add limits. I see that they're making limit breaks. Like I haven't seen a limit break. Like, they seem to be making them like normal kind of special attacks that you can do. I don't see a character taking a lot of damage and then being able to do their limit technique, which kind of has me disappointed. Unless they're just keeping those hidden until the game actually comes out, and maybe they want that to be like one of the big surprises. Like, oh look, the limit breaks, we made them even better. I'm hoping that's what the deal is, but we'll see when the game comes out. And now, we just ran into an Eligor, which is a very special enemy here in the train graveyard, and is what I was looking for while I hadn't left. This enemy, if you steal from it successfully, which who knows if that's going to happen, because the steal materia is not so great at this point in the game. If I can steal from it successfully, it will give me a special weapon for Eris called the Striking Staff, which is, at this point, the best weapon for her in the game. So I'm going to see if I can steal that weapon. I'm gonna see if I can steal that weapon any day now. So yeah, at this point, like I said, the steal materia is not so great, so you just gotta kind of have to defend, heal yourself up, and just keep going at it. Also, the Eligor is a really kind of cool design enemy. As you can see, it's kind of like a it's kind of like a it's a mix between a Terminator and a Centaur and Striking Staff. There we go. So I just got her weapon, and now this guy doesn't have to live anymore. Like, if you look at its face, it's kind of got like these red eye, or it's like a red Cyclops eye with like a, yeah, look at that. It's like a Cyclops Terminator attached to like a possibly robotic horse. Very cool weapon design, or very cool enemy design, I should say. And it is confirmed that this enemy is in the remake. I've seen the screenshots of it, so that's really cool. Alright, so let's equip Aerith's new weapon. The striking staff, and as you can see, they're really driving home the fact that she's a materia user. I don't have enough materia to really make use of this at this point, but 4 slots is fantastic. Let's get into a fight and maybe take a look at the weapon, and then I will, and then we'll continue then we'll end this session. Ugh. Oh God, so many burps. We'll end this session, and then we'll move on to the next part of the story. Oh, here, when she does her limit break, we'll get a good look. There you go. See, it kind of looks like 2 hockey sticks attached back to back. It's kind of a funny looking weapon. But it is the best weapon for her at this point, and it will last her for quite a while, I believe. There you go. Alright, so that concludes the train graveyard and the escape from the sewer section of Final Fantasy VII. Join me next time as we try to stop Shinra's evil plan of dropping the plate on top of Sector 7. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time.